Get the bottomless drinks for just $15. Kids under 12 enjoy the brunch for just $10 every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Also enjoy the Blast 825 pizza from their own wood-fired oven and the beer wall. So join them at Blast 825 Brewery in Old Town Orchid. Life's too short. Have a blast.
Ben Heighes and Doug Nelson, a combined 75 years, bringing you the latest local news. No fake news here. AM 1440 and FM 1063, KUHL.
Good morning, 7:32. Information now. We'll check more local news coming up. It is part of our local news segment. Time to talk food with our favorite grocery gal, Amy Goldsmith. Amy's helped to launch and grow some of the most well-known brands that many of us eat or at least see on the grocery shelves. She's a food insider and is here to keep us updated during this unprecedented time in history. You can follow Amy and direct message her any questions through Facebook and also on Instagram at The Grocery Gal. Well, Amy, welcome back. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Ben.
All right, a lot to get us caught up on. So what's happening with food out there, groceries, and I'm sure we'll talk about the meat shortage we've been hearing about.
Yes. I mean, as I've said here over the last few weeks, I really haven't been worried about the meat supply. And to be honest, I'm still not. Yes, there have been temporary shutdowns, and while other meat facilities continue to close, others are opening. And yes, they're opening with new restrictions and in shifts. So it is slowing the amount of processing that's happening, but there really is not widespread shortage. And if there is shortage, it's in a particular area, and it's very, very temporary. Again, I am not worried. You might see in the supermarkets a sign instructing you that you can only buy a few packages of chicken, beef, or pork. This is really mostly to stop consumers from spiking the demand, like actually what happened with toilet paper. And in fact, Tyson announced this morning that they're actually cutting the price of their meat. So would they do this? Could they do this if there was actually a shortage? But consider this. Meat processing was at an all-time high before the pandemic hit. And a lot of that meat was targeted for export. But overseas demand plummeted. So where did that meat go? It stays at home. All that's to say is that there's really plenty of meat out there. And keep in mind, they're talking about fresh meat. This is only about fresh meat. The country has hundreds of millions of pounds of frozen meat in storage, and that's why fast food chains like McDonald's and Burger King that cook frozen meat patties, they're not seeing shortages.
Speaking of fast food, we've been hearing about Wendy's saying some type of shortage was something that they were dealing with. So, what's happening with Wendy's then?
Well, right. About 20% of Wendy's restaurants ran out of hamburgers. That is true. Wendy's uses only fresh beef, not frozen beef. And so does, I don't know if you guys have Shake Shack up in the Central Coast.
No, we don't.
Another popular burger place. They also only use fresh beef, and they're seeing some higher beef prices. But this is just a part of the perceived shortage. Some critics suggest the biggest meat suppliers may not be playing fair. And in fact, 11 state attorney generals sent a letter to the Justice Department seeking an antitrust probe to determine if the meat companies were colluding to manipulate consumer prices. And I actually suggested this from the beginning, that the pandemic created a perfect opportunity for the meat companies to raise prices, improve their margins, and really fight it out with employee unions who for a long time have wanted better working conditions. And as I said a couple weeks ago, this perceived meat shortage, I really believe, runs a beat deeper than what we're really talking about. And again, seeing Tyson saying, hey, we're going to cut prices this morning, might suggest that. And remember, as one plant closes, another has been cleaned and reopening. So while no one's really running full throttle, the supply continues. And again, there's a stockpile, so I'm not really worried. And by the way, the plant-based food industry is loving this. Companies like Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods, and Tofurky say they're ramping up productions and they're discounting their plant-based meat alternatives so that to appeal to more consumers and expand into more stores. And if you haven't tried any of these, there's no time like the present. I think you'll be surprised by the taste and texture. It's interesting. It's impressive.
All right, there we go. Grocery gal Amy Goldsmith joining us 7:36 here on Information Now. So what I'm hearing is we'll be okay, especially for the upcoming Memorial Day weekend where a lot of folks, want to get out and barbecue, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, the meat is there. Again, as I've discussed here, we were all in the food industry caught off guard and taking the food that was meant for food service in restaurants, et cetera, and turning it toward consumers in retail, there's a glitch in the system, and I think that we're hammering it out and working it out. And if this should ever happen again, hopefully never ever, but if it does, I think we're better equipped to deal with taking that supply for wholesale and turning it to retail.
All right, good news. Well, we were talking about restaurants here a little while ago, Amy, and talking about fast food, but what about the usual sit-down restaurants? We're hearing those are beginning to reopen here in California, but might kind of depend where you live. I know in Santa Barbara County, we're still trying to get things back open. So, Amy, what's happening where you are and maybe some other places in California?
So for restaurants to open, they need to have met California's phase 2 reopening criteria. And I'm hearing mixed reports on how many counties that is. Yesterday it was about 2 counties. This morning it's about 18 counties. So I'm not sure, but I can tell you that Santa Barbara County, San Luis Obispo County, and Los Angeles County are still pretty much for delivery and takeout only, and the bars remain closed. However, anticipating the opening, the government has outlined a set of guidelines that restaurants should follow before resuming dine-in services. And this is also in conjunction with the National Restaurant Association. So they're on board with these recommendations. And the list really focuses more on physical distancing rather than occupancy caps. So expect many changes. For example, you'll no longer walk into the restaurant and see the preset table, with the napkin and the cutlery and stemware. You're also not going to see any more salt and pepper shakers at the tables or other kind of shared condiments. Also going away, tableside food preparation, which we all enjoy in Southern California, where they make the homemade guacamole right in front of your table.
Oh, yeah.
That's going away too. There'll be fewer diners in restaurants and fewer seating as reservations are going to be spread out more so that there's more time to disinfect the restaurant between customers. And by the way, when you're waiting for your table, you may be asked to wait in your car. Not in like the lobby area of the restaurant. And you're probably not going to see those buzzers anymore, right, that tell you your table's ready. Too many shared germs on those. And we may be screened for symptoms upon arrival. Our temperature may be taken. We'll probably be asked to use hand sanitizer, use our own hand sanitizer, and obviously wear a face mask when we're not eating or drinking. We'll probably also see disposable menus or technology that allows consumers to view a menu on your phone.
All right, some changes coming up, but it will be nice to get the restaurants open for sit-down dining once again. But I guess the question remains here, Amy. I mean, do people even want to go to a restaurant anymore?
It's a great question. In several polls that have come out, it's between 18 and 19% of adults say that they feel comfortable eating and dining in restaurants, and that's not very much. Restaurants with patios in these polls appear to be doing better because people feel more comfortable, eating outside. And interesting, Republicans are more likely than Democrats to say that they would eat at a restaurant, go shopping at a mall, or take a vacation. Yet still a majority of Republicans were not comfortable with any of those activities. For example, in the Morning Consult poll, 27% of Republicans said they were comfortable eating at a restaurant compared with 10% of Democrats. I mean, overall, look, restaurants will need to show and demonstrate the safety and care they're putting into their dining environment to get anyone to want to go. But keep in mind for consumers, it's not just about health and safety. It's about economics. I mean, more than 50% of Americans have been financially impacted by the pandemic. And going to dine in a restaurant is really a financial luxury. Even if it's a Denny's, it still costs more per meal than eating at home. So, is that how people want or can spend their money? Restaurants they're losing so much money. Can restaurants financially afford to make these changes? Pay their employees and cost of goods while it slowly ramps up? Fortunately, there's going to be plenty of restaurants that won't make it. It's all very sad.
Yes, it is. And at this point, I mean, it's really hard to say exactly when we'll have sit-down dining, up here on the Central Coast and in Los Angeles County. It's pretty much like a day-by-day, week-by-week kind of thing. They have to look at data and some other things before deciding that.
Correct, they do. And again, we have to complete the phase 2 before we can move to phase 3, which is the restaurants opening. And I think, keep in mind, they're still really going to encourage takeout and delivery. I mean, just because they're open and just because things are opening up, the government is still really encouraging people to stay at home.
Yeah, definitely. But, of course, you can support your favorite restaurant by doing that because a lot of them have a phone line that you can call and you can order and then go pick it up and take it home. So that's one way people can support their favorite restaurant.
Absolutely. You can do that. And also, don't forget to ask your restaurants if you can buy some of their supplies. they have supplies that they need to get rid of: vegetables, perishable products, meat, even paper goods.
Yep, a lot has changed since COVID-19, but Amy's been doing a great job keeping us updated there. By the way, you can follow Amy and direct message her any questions through Facebook and also on Instagram at The Grocery Gal. Amy, good speaking with you. We look forward to doing it again, hopefully next week.
Absolutely. Be well.
All right, we certainly will. You too. Grocery Gal Amy Goldsmith. Don't forget birthdays and anniversary wishes if you've got them. 928-1440 is my number. This portion of the news brought to you by Community Bank of Santa Maria.
Hello, this is Janet Silvera with your Community Bank of Santa Maria. There is no doubt we're experiencing unsettling times, but at Community Bank of Santa Maria, we remain steadfast and strong. And while we take the safety of our staff and customers seriously, we're still conducting business as usual. We're still making loans, including Paycheck Protection Plan loans, business lines of credit, and construction loans.